Hey everybody, I'm Jackie Ferris. This week on the 302, we are at the Rehoboth Art League checking out the annual Members Fine Craft exhibition. It's a half hour of beautiful art and stories behind the artists. Get your shopping cart ready. The 302 is taking you on an exploration. We are at the Rehoboth Art League talking about the Members Fine Craft exhibition. This is the 50th year, and if you're not familiar with it, not only is it a competition, but it's also a way for you to get your hands on some amazing art. We're joined now by our friend Nick Sarator to talk a little bit about it. Nick, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here.
So a huge success, a lot of entries this year.
Always. The 50th. This is the 50th Members Fine Art Craft exhibition. And I'll tell you, the caliber of art is just overwhelming. It's very creative things to look at. It's one of our most popular exhibitions that we have because you're looking at artists that are doing things with their medium that is just like so different from what you would usually see at a store, anywhere there's like retail. This is one-of-a-kind art, all original, made by hand, and we got everything from glass, wood, metal, sculpture, you name it.
Now, the winner of the exhibition, a good friend of the 302, Bob Weston.
Yes.
And he's a marketrist, right?
Yeah, he does marquetry work, and his work is phenomenal. In fact, he won Best in Show, and he also won Best in Show last year. The judge was just floored by his work, and he gets all the credit he deserves. He really does. For
someone who isn't really familiar with, his work, I mean, you look at it and you think to yourself, this has got to be paint, but it's not paint.
No, it's not. It's marquetry. So it's layers and layers of veneer. And he cuts out his shapes. He creates a painting with it. And when I say painting, it looks like a painting, but it's not. It's made of wood. It's painstaking as well. Again, it's veneered. It has to be sanded down to make his shapes. It's very smooth. So when you look at the texture of his work, he adds color to it. Clearly, it's a one-of-a-kind piece of work. And it's different, because you can hang it on your wall. So it substitutes what you would think is just a painting, but here it's made completely of wood.
I know after we profiled him on the 302, I commissioned him to do a beautiful table of my mother in kind of a Great Gatsby flavor, and it really was a one-of-a-kind piece, and that can be said of just about everything that you have here. Now, I'm looking around and I see there are a lot of ceramics, but you have some that really stand out, that really are, you want to go up, and even though you can't, you want to go up to them and touch them, the ones over here.
Exactly. We have work from Marty Geiger-Ho. She's from Pennsylvania, and her work is just unusual. It just stands out from a lot. All the pottery here is great. We see a lot of utilitarian stuff, such as your mugs, dishes, which are all well done. But hers are more of a work of art that you just sit and admire and you look at. The way she does her texturing, the way the form is, it's very organic. And so again, it's just different from what you would usually see as far as a ceramic piece is concerned. Again, some of them are functional, some are not. Again, it's just the beauty of it, which makes it really, really special.
I mean, this is something that you can take home, you can put flowers in it, or you can just put it in a nice area with a little bit of light on it.
Exactly.
And it can just set off a room.
It's more than just a piece of ceramic, it's sculpture. And you admire, sculptures come in all shapes and forms. It could be glass sculpture, it could be ceramic sculpture, it could be sculpture made out of wood. These are ceramic pots, but the pot itself, the way she created it, stands on its own completely.
Absolutely. And you also have another friend of the 302, Celeste Kelly.
Oh, Celeste.
Love her mosaics. Just absolutely gorgeous. Talk to us a little bit about the gargoyles.
The gargoyles themselves are just magnificent, very painstaking too. When you look at it, there's a lot of pieces of mosaic that go together to create this shape, this sculpture. Again, we're talking about sculpture. And her work lends itself to be outdoors. It's colorful, it's bright, completely original, and for anyone who has seen her at an outdoor show, her booth just captures the eye. It's just an explosion of color. And clearly you can see that she really enjoys what she does. She really does. And I always laugh or giggle because every now and then she'll find me to help her move stuff. And trust me, it's not easy. A lot of it has a lot of weight to it. But
those benches are amazing.
they're amazing. I know, and we have to put signs out, please don't sit on it, because so many people are tempted to sit on these benches because of the way they are, they're bright. And I always say, listen, if you buy it, you can sit on it all you want.
Absolutely.
Leave the gallery.
They can be, you can sit on them, but
absolutely.
you gotta be careful, like buttons on your jeans or.
Yeah, you gotta be a little careful with it. I think they're pretty durable, you know, and they're meant to be, you know, outside, you know, to enjoy out in your garden. And when the sun hits them, they just reflect. They're just an explosion of color.
Really gorgeous. Now I want to ask you about, you mentioned the garden. We have a glass flower here. Tell me a little bit about that.
Margaret Halpern is a glass artist, and not only does she do plates or like decorative forms of glass, rectangular shapes, she also does jewelry in glass. So her stuff is just really just amazing, you know, and it's very bright. And again, they're usable as well. So here you got a piece of decorative art that you can now still use as a serving piece. They're all one of a kind. The way she gets certain swirls in her glass, certain texture, is just really amazing. It really is. And I don't really know how they do that.
So when you look around the gallery, you see not only a lot of paintings, but you see a lot of textiles. And on the wall, the back wall, it's just so gorgeous. Talk to me a little bit about that. It's kind of like an abstract quilt, if you will.
It is. Sarah Pavlik is the artist, and she is a quilter. A lot of her work is on a large scale. The work itself, when I saw this particular piece, the amount of time involved with it, and you really have to appreciate it when you stand back from it. You get up close, you can see every detail, every piece of fabric was sewn into it. Most of her work is very geometric, but what she does, she captures composition in her quilts, and that's the important thing when you're looking at it. So when you see it in the distance, you can pull out the shapes. They all tie together like you would a painting.
It kind of reminds me of the ocean in a little way. I'm not really sure why, if it's the colors or just the way she's assembled it, maybe like a reef or something.
Yeah, and again, when she's making her quilts, what I think any quilter does, you know, you just don't take all these colors of fabric and just like put them together and sew them. There is a method to it. You have to map it out so that everything works in harmony with each other. So one shape leads to another shape, one color leads to another, and you got one harmonious, beautiful quilt when it's finished.
Yeah, and when we're talking about, you know, whimsical entries, there's also the felt.
Yes.
The felt creations. Now that is kind of cool. I mean,
it is. It's like, it's felting. It's all, her name. The artist is Catherine Toothman, and her work is just whimsical. She's done very well here with her work. She creates these, I don't know, kind of like animals or creatures, night crawlers, and they're exciting to look at. All of a sudden, she has little stories to go with each one, and there's embellishments like, you know, dried, like, you know, leaves with it, or like something's walking through the woods. They're eerie and they're whimsical, and people just love them. They really do. It's just they're great. It's something I've never seen before, to tell you the truth.
They're really fascinating.
They are.
And when we return, we're going to profile one of the artists who actually uses polymer clay. We'll be right back.
I'm Caitlin Dykes, lead interpreter at the Zwannendale Museum. We find the best shipwrecks on the 302.
Welcome back. We are now in the Ventures Gallery to talk a little bit about our artist profile, Joseph Barbacha, and we're joined by Nick, who's going to tell us all about this amazing medium. You look at it and it's so hard to believe it's polymer clay.
Exactly. You know, I'm so used to seeing polymer clay, like jewelry made of polymer clay, ornaments, some, you know, like small like vessels. It's a plastic clay that you can just bake in the oven, opposed to a kiln. You know, it has high temperatures. But what Joseph Barbacha has done is actually created paintings from polymer clay, which is something I have never seen before. And since he joined this art league around 3 or 4 years ago, he has really elevated himself as an artist who works in this medium. You know, he's one established artist from the Delaware Division of the Arts for his artwork. And he applied for a solo show and he won a solo show here. It just happens to coincide with the 50th Members Fine Craft exhibition.
Now for the exhibition, you know, we see all this lovely work here, but for the exhibition, he actually did a self-portrait, which I find fascinating.
It really is a fascinating piece. And I've seen his self-portraits before, but this one's called ID. And really, when you look at his portrait, he has like a thumbprint going through his face, like for an ID identification. So that was like really something unusual. People have looked at this thing and say, oh my God, I can't believe the amount of time he has put into this. Every single strip for all of his work, actually, he's really was able to create depth like you would a painting. You know, you got light and shadow, all done with polymer clay.
Now, does he mix the colors of his clay himself? Or?
No, I think the colors come the way they are. He just has to actually, just like when you're painting, you have to have the right colors to create harmony, light, dark, shadow. There's variations of the shade of polymer as well. So if you get like an orange, there could be shades of the orange that he uses. So you get that depth of like on a rose, you know, light and dark, you know, beneath the petals.
Now, speaking of roses, he has done some beautiful floral images.
Yes, and the show's called Delaware Days, so it's also not only in addition to the beaches or the lighthouses that we see here, it's also a lot of botanicals that you'll see around the area. So he has a little bit of everything. And again, when I look at the amount of pieces that he puts together, it's kind of like a puzzle. But when you stand back, they look real. You would never know that it was clay until you came close to it and you could see all the nuances of each piece.
And when you look at the petals themselves, I mean, there's so much texture. Sometimes when you look at his images, it's like it's a watercolor. Sometimes it is something true to life, like a photograph or even an oil painting. So he really is able to say a lot with this medium.
Exactly. When I see people coming in to see it for the first time, they're like, what is this? You know, they don't know if it's watercolor, or if it's oil, or if it's an acrylic. And when they go up to it, and like, is it? And we're like, yeah, it's polymer clay. And so it's different. No one has really done what he's doing. I haven't seen it before. They haven't seen it before. So it makes it very exciting.
So he obviously has a fascination and a love for lighthouses.
He does, but I've seen a lot of his work. So I think when you focus on a certain show or certain subject matter, he gives it its all. So right now, again, we have the lighthouses. He does a lot of things representative of the Eastern Shore for this market down here. But I've seen some other stuff too that he has done that is totally opposite of the lighthouses. He's exploring abstract and exploring interiors and also portraits.
Oh,
He's done exactly just quite like his own. He has done portraits of celebrities or people in government, and it's just like wow. It's
my favorite piece in the show is looking through the window at the lighthouse.
Yes.
The depth is amazing.
It really is, and that's another beauty of his work. Again, just like painting, he's able to take the polymer and create depth.
Yeah.
So it's not just all flat. Because of the way he puts color together, you're looking out that window. You can see the window ledge. You can see the shadow underneath the ledge. So almost his work also has like a three-dimensional quality as well.
Right. So are these lighthouses in Delaware that he's?
Yes, of course, the famous ones are the Breakwater and the Harbor of Refuge in Lewis. But we also have the World War II towers that are in the North Shores.
Another breathtaking piece, the flock of birds in flight.
Oh, I know.
You stand back and it looks like a picture, and you get close and you're like, wow.
All these little white dots. It's kind of like, we're used to seeing photographs of like a field where there's a lot of snow geese that take off at once, or on the beach, and you see them all in the air with all their wingspan. And this particular piece is representative of that, except they're real small. It's a small scale, but with a lot of what you would say is geese, but all these white dots represented them.
I'm curious about the floating shell.
Oh, okay, the floating shell.
You know what that's all about?
I really don't
It's like
know.
a Dali.
It's kind of like, at first I was like, when I first read the title, I was like, is this supposed to be some kind of Venus rising from the ocean? Maybe it is. I didn't ask him. I really don't want him to tell me because I'd rather just let me think what it is. So it's like, it's the only piece in here that's unusual, that's not representative of something that you would just say, oh, there's a bird, there's a lighthouse, look at this beautiful landscape in polymer. It's this rising shell. I don't know if it's a metaphor or something he wanted people to take away from it what they
Yeah,
felt.
to personalize it.
Get it,
definitely.
immersed in their own experience.
Absolutely. So let's talk about the glass. He's also done some work on glass. Now,
Yes.
is that the clay on glass?
It's
or
not glass at all. It is polymer.
The whole thing?
Yes, to make it look like there is glass, he's created polymer and flattened it out so it looks like stained glass. So here's bigger shapes, not so much pieced together with what you see in a scene. So you look at it and like, oh, this is a lovely piece of stained glass, and yet it's polymer clay.
That blows my mind. I
Yes.
actually thought that that was stained glass and he had just put some polymer clay on
It's all polymer, and even the black, what you would think is leading, is also polymer clay. So he's done sun catchers, and at least you don't have to worry about the sun bleaching out because it's polymer clay. Once it's baked, it's hard, so
Yeah.
he's able to get that luminosity, the colors that he used to capture the sunlight, and sunlight actually does pour through them.
That's amazing.
It is.
Wow. Well, when we return, we're going to find out how you can take some of these works of art home. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Laura Favell. I'm the Sewell C. Biggs Curator of American Art at the Biggs Museum of American Art, and I enjoy art on the 302.
Welcome back. Now that barbacha is just amazing.
It certainly is. He really is a creative person, and he's taken polymer clay to a whole new level.
So when people see all of these works of art and they say, oh, I've got to have these, I got to have this for my home, or it would make a great gift, they can actually come on down and buy these things, right?
Yes, they can. Everything is for sale, and they can take it that day. Each artist was allowed to submit 5 works of art, and so when we sell a piece, we let them know immediately, and they'll replace it with something else. But usually with this items here, we have so much that, unlike a typical exhibition where your work would hang for a month, we allow the patrons to take the work when they buy it.
So do you have people that just come in and, you wish you had a shopping cart that they could just kind of like,
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Sometimes we're just shocked because someone will come to the desk with an item and I'll be like, hold on, I'll be right back. And they come back with another one and they'll say, hold on, I'll be right back. And so before you know it, there's like 4 or 5 things at the desk.
Because you really could, if you are a new homeowner, or maybe you haven't started investing in art, you really could take care of an entire home with different kinds of art.
Absolutely. Like I said, there's something here that can cover just about all bases of art, from fine art to fine craft. And the beauty about it is also that the prices are good. You're not looking at like things that are $25,000, $30,000. Usually the price point is anywhere between $50 to $200 or $300. So you can walk away with a great piece of artwork. There are things that are worth more than that, of course. There are things that can go up there in price. So we have it all.
Excellent. Now you have a lot of things that happen throughout the year, every year. So talk to us a little bit about 2023 for you.
Okay, well in July for the past 2 years we couldn't do several events. One that we could not do, we had to do it virtual, is the cottage tour. Now this cottage tour encompasses 10 homes, gorgeous homes, and also highlights their artwork. That is going to be July 11th and 12th. Tickets are on sale now, and what that does is that you tour these private homes, so they're absolutely spectacular. And gives also some good ideas for your own house as well. We also have our annual outdoor fine art and fine craft show. We have over 130 artists. That is always the first 2 weekends of August. That's coming up, and that's throughout our grounds. We also have entertainment and food, so it's just one of our biggest events that we do.
So how many artists participate? Now this is a pretty nice show, but this is small compared to that, right?
Yes, it is. The outdoor fine art and fine craft show is a jury show to get into. You have to be a member of the Art League to apply. And it was difficult too, because we had like several hundred people apply for the show, but we only have so many spots. So it was a really tough choice for the judges to select who was able to get into it. But we always encourage people, whether it's the fine art show or any other jewelry show that we have, if you didn't make it in, try again. Eventually it'll work.
I can imagine that there are so many people who are just starting out, so many talented folks that are just learning their craft, and it must be such a thrill to be chosen for the first time.
It absolutely is, and I can use my own experience as an artist. I'm a pastel artist. You know, when I was starting out, I practiced, and you know, I would apply for things, didn't get them, but then all of a sudden, you win an award or you get your first show, and it's an affirmation to the art and artist. That's what the beauty of the Rehoboth Art League is, because everyone's welcomed.
So let's talk a little bit about, you know, the end of the year, coming up at the end, what happens in the fall. And
Okay, well, we still have exhibitions that we do monthly, and they usually end at the end of October. The beginning of November, we have our holiday fair. Again, it's a jewelry show. All the buildings are emptied out. Juried artists come in and they're given a spot, and they set up for this weekend event, which is all handmade, everything, again, crafts from glass to jewelry to woodworking, and that's for the first weekend of November. Then after that, I transform all the major galleries here into the member sales gallery. Throughout the year, members of the Rehoboth Art League are allowed to showcase their artwork on a year-round basis, but there's a limited number of stuff they can bring in depending on our space. Well, since I've got these large galleries, I allow them to bring in more work, and it's great because it's all through November and December. So we're decked out again with more than just paintings. We have it all. It's like kind of like the craft show, but bigger.
sure, a lot of people say they come to Rehoboth for the beach, but I would argue that there's a lot of art to be had while you're down here visiting.
Well, it's great too, especially when there's a non-beach day, because we get all the beach people coming in to see the art.
So if someone wants to find out, you know, maybe they're planning a trip in the summer or the fall, they want to find out about these sales so they can scoop up some really amazing artists, where do they go?
www.rehobothartleague.org. And also, while they're browsing the galleries, they may want to take a class, because we offer classes year-round. So if you're here for an extended period of time and see something that you want to join up for and learn a craft or two or some drawing, just give us, you know, check out our website. We have something just for everyone.
Those classes sound like a future episode of the 302.
Oh, I think it is. And our education director does a good job. They're busy year-round.
Well, Nick, thank you so much for sharing all of this art with us, and we'll be checking in with you soon.
Jackie, it's been a pleasure. Thank you.
We'll be right back. Are you enjoying your trip to the Rehoboth Art League? If you actually come out and check out some of the art in the future, make sure you take a picture and tag us on Facebook. Now, here are some other things you might want to check out. For more information on the Rehoboth Art League, you can visit RehobothArtLeague.org. That'll do it for this week's episode of the 302. Make sure you follow us on Facebook for more behind-the-scenes content and information. We're going to leave you now with a beauty shot of the Rehoboth Boardwalk. Until next time, I'm Jackie Ferris. Tell them you saw it on the 302.